Okay, so I know this is kind of a weird tangent I'm about to go on in a second. I know it seems a little bit out of pocket, but hear me out, alright? Just hear me out for a good second, Give me like 5 to 6 minutes of your time, and you'll understand my point for this video if you've seen the title. So as somebody who's been an anime fan for about going on basically a decade, I've been watching anime since I was 12, right? It wasn't until I finally sat down and watched Toonami, I was introduced to Dragon Ball Z. One of the animes that I've fully sat down and was more invested in was Kill la Kill. Back before I knew what sub and dub was, so I was watching the dub version of Kill la Kill. The moment I saw the transformations in Kill la Kill for the first time, bro, that sparked my interest in anime. A show about some female that transforms and she's like barely naked, but she's barely clothed. Some wacky plot, right? I had no intentions of like being invested in. And then fast forward, years later, it's like one of my favorite shows ever. Seeing Ryoku transform, it's a nice sight to see. I'm gonna be honest with you, right? My 13-year-old brain couldn't get enough of it. I just loved the show, right? I didn't even care about the story. I was just watching it just to see her transform. It was borderline, I wouldn't even say borderline. It was just straight up fan service, and I liked it. Of course, fast forward 10 years later, I've watched a lot more fan servicey shows, right? I've watched Gunbuster, I've watched Golden Boy. Safe to say, I like fan servicey anime where they're not afraid to, show it off, if that makes sense. That's kind of one of the things I can't stand about a lot of modern animes, right? Is the fan service is nice. Once you reach like a certain age, it's kind of like, okay, can you at least show me everything, right? I'm not saying it needs to be a borderline hentai. That's not what I'm saying. If I want to go watch that, I'll go watch a hentai, right? One of the things, one of my gripes about animes, especially if they're like 18 plus, I'm strictly talking about the 18 plus animes. A lot more dark, gritty stories and all that, right? Berserk. I definitely think those kind of stories would be way more better if they showed off nudity like a little bit more. Another show I watched like years ago was a show called Punchline, right? So if you guys aren't aware, Punchline is a Crunchyroll original show. I remember watching it for the first time. I remember watching all the episodes when it came out. I enjoyed it for the time being. It's about a guy named Yuta. Basically, his weird power is, when he sees a girl's panties, the world blows up or some shit like that. But there's way more to the story, but I promise. Basically, it's like a weird time travel show where like he has to try to prevent the future from happening. Those kind of shows. One thing that I liked about Punchline and stuff was the fan service, right? Of course, I would argue and say that I would think the show would have been way better if it was 18 plus, so it could have been way more, it could have leaned into it a little bit more opposed to it being 14 plus, because obviously the average age in Japan for shonen anime and stuff like that is between 13 and 14 years old, right? So I'm not expecting the show full on like nudity and a show meant for 14-year-olds. Obviously not. All right, that's a little bit insane. But it also makes, I think that the one thing that I don't understand is like stuff like the Future Diary, which is 18 plus, they show full on nudity, and of course you get stuff like High School DxC. Again, I mentioned Golden Boy. Personally, I think what I'm trying to say is I really want more shows like these where the fan service and the nudity are hand in hand. Obviously, if you're gonna do that, I think you should be able to do it fully to your heart's content, as long as the show is above 18. If the shows like The Boys and all these other shows, The Sopranos, can show nudity perfectly fine, I don't know why my 18 plus anime shows can't. Now, of course, you can say that's what the OVAs are for, I feel like we should have more OVAs, but also I feel like if you are having a show like The Future Diary and stuff on Crunchyroll, I should be able to watch an uncensored version of that said show if there is. One of them I've watched recently was Please Put Him On, Takame-san, and Harem in the Labyrinth of Another World. I've seen a few more. I think I saw another one on my watch list, The Testament of Sisters New Devil. I really think like these shows, like the ones I just currently listed, they show nudity. Please Put Him On, Takame-san. Literally in the first episode, you were seeing her bare breast 10 minutes in. For like, when it comes to shows like Please Put Them On, Takame-san, it makes much more sense why they have the nudity. The premise of Please Put Them On, Takame-san is basically the main character stumbles upon this girl that's like the perfect girl, perfect grades. Like he's in a gym room or whatever, eating lunch by himself. He notices that she's coming in. She thinks nobody's around, so she's changing her clothes and all that. He catches her naked. And then fast forward a little bit into the first episode, he notices that, she didn't get 100% on her test score, and all of a sudden time is rewinded and she all of a sudden has a perfect score, and he confronts her about it. Basically that whole entire episode is her saying that, yeah, I have a special ability where I can turn back time and change anything in the past, basically, and make everything perfect for her. That's basically the whole premise of that show, is just she basically traps the protagonist into being her quote-unquote closet, and she has to change her underwear and shit whenever she needs to in order to be able to change time. Trust me, me sitting here talking about the plot of the show makes me seem like a weirdo. I'm sorry, I know. Like me trying to explain certain shows to people, I just tell them sit down and watch it. I'm not gonna sit here and explain to you what the story is, because me saying it to you makes absolutely no sense and it sounds so fucking weird. When it comes to 18 plus shows, I definitely think we should just be leaning more and more into like the adult themes, especially with nudity and mental health issues and all that. I really wish we have more shows coming out that are just like Please Put Them On Takame-san and Golden Boy and The Future Diary. The nudity is present, but it's not a huge factor, right? You know, it's just nice fan service. You know, I think the whole point of this video was just me saying I really want to see more shows like High School DxD, Golden Boy, Future Diary, Please Put Them On Takame-san. A lot more adult-orientated shows that aren't afraid to show nudity. I'm a grown adult. I pretty sure I can handle seeing some 2D titties, right? No, I don't want to be a borderline hentai. But I'm just saying, when it comes to my basic sit-down anime, I would like to sit down and watch it and know that nudity and everything, it's all there, nothing censored. You know, they're not teeter-tottering on the nudity or anything like that, or making sexual poses or that as a joke. I want them to fully embrace it and use it in their story. You know, I think the point of this video was just me ranting about like how I can't stand how some animes, like there's gonna be some borderline nudity or some kind of suggestive content, but they make it such a big deal for no reason. Opposed to just being like Future Diary and all that, where it's there, but it's subtle enough to where it doesn't deviate from the story. Right, you know, it's there, so if you notice it's like, oh shit, there's titties here. I think it's kind of one of the reasons why I can't stand certain shows, right? It's just like, if you're gonna be over sexualized and you're gonna be doing all these suggestive poses and stuff and all these teasing, like just make the show 18 plus and then just let me see the actual like assets, right? You know, I want to see it. You know, I don't want to say or be teased for the entire show, right? That's kind of boring. I know some shows lean into it in a funny way, but you know, after a point it gets annoying. But yeah, that's been my little rant about why I think anime should have more 18 plus nudity scenes and be a lot more open to the idea. What do you guys think? Do you guys think they should also do it, or do you guys think it's fine as it is, or you think I'm a fucking weirdo who needs to go outside and touch grass? I don't really know. But anyway, hope you guys have a good day. I know my last two videos have been kind of depressing, you know, so I kind of want to come out here and just make a little fun video and go back to making more positive, more lighthearted videos, because you know, sitting here talking about my personal mental health and all that is not the greatest idea. Anyway, hope you guys have a good day. Leave a like and subscribe. Follow me on my socials. Follow me on my Twitter. If you guys are looking for some cool anime designs, be sure to hit my shop on redbubble.com/yexdesigns. Currently in the process of making some more designs. I've been kind of slacking recently with these, and yeah, hope you guys have a good day. Anyway, my name's Yex, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.
Цель уничтожена. Цель уничтожена.